Hello viewers, well, welcome to our first look at the gameplay for MXGP3, which of course we were shown recently. You've seen our developer interview, you've seen our team chat based on our initial impressions. Now I'm just going to take you through the gameplay. Just to let you know that I won't be talking all the way through this video. There will be some direct audio and you know, some no comment sections on the video as well. And we'll probably have a separate no comment multicam video coming up as well. But first I just wanted to show you my quick run on the game. Now I'll admit that I'm not that good at it. There wasn't a gameplay demonstration before playing this. So normally we'd see the buttons, how to play it, how to do everything. With this we were just thrown in there. You had a certain amount of time to record it. So what you're seeing is my first ever go, looking at the menus and just going from there, basically looking at the different circuits. But obviously everything, as you can see, is locked. All the riders were locked away. But it'd be really exciting to see how some of these circuits turn out, given the drastic visual improvement on the Italian circuit here. So, and also what's improved a lot since the first game is actually the pictures of the riders. So the pictures in the first sort of couple of games weren't too fetching of some of these guys. So it's nice to see that they've actually got it looking nice and professional now. The whole thing looks much more professional this time. So, you know, we've just had the presentation then, you know, and I will say that we're going to have, for those of you who are interested in learning more about that, we're going to have a separate video more about the presentation and the developer sort of introduction to how they're working on these and future titles using the Unreal 4 engine. But going into the game first, I think it was just clear to see from the detail graphics in terms of the crowd and particle effects and look. Massive improvements have been made. If you played MXGP before, I played a lot of the first game, not so much of the second one, so it's been quite some time since I've really put any time into it, and I couldn't remember how to do half the stuff. I had to sort of learn my way. So in this first video you're going to see me playing not the best, but you will see me improve as I go on. Also I will say this game is way harder than the previous versions. There's a lot more depth to the bike, and yeah, the depth comes in terms of throttle control. You have lots more throttle control now in terms of just getting the bike with traction, depending on an incline, depending on the surface. It really makes the physics are way beyond what you had before. Now there's a couple of things that I don't get to try in this video, and that is doing the various different tricks in the air. As for controlling the bike in the air, it seemed to be, you know, relatively straightforward. I do take some getting used to here. The other thing is how to slide the bike into corners, sort of drifting it round. It's a challenge at the moment trying to get the bike. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in terms of when you go into, as I get that wrong. Now I don't know the layout of the circuit. I should point that out as well here. So I'm just learning my way around. And there's a rider going the wrong way there. Whatever was happening there. Again, it's all early development. You will see some odd, unusual things here. Yeah, so when you go into some corners like this, if you sort of understeer, I didn't know how to get the bike round, and the rear brake wasn't really doing it for me. So you need a bit more throttle, spins up the rear wheel, and that sort of gets the bike round a bit. It works a lot more when you use a sort of ridge on the inside of the circuit. Also on this early version you'll see your rider falls off the bike quite easily when you sort of get a lot of wheel spin or whatever. That's something which apparently has been worked on. So the handling's not finished yet for this game. You know, it's still a work in progress. I mean, it's amazing. They've got lots to do, but you know, so much is in place already that it's more about tweaks and refinement rather than completely addressing it from the ground upwards. You know, and I'm gradually sort of trying to learn my way around the circuit. But I'm going to leave you with some of my play for a minute. You'll see various different points of view, and then I'll come back later in the video. So I'm gradually getting used to it. It's I have to admit, it's quite a steep learning curve when you're first playing this. I mean, thankfully I've played these games before, but for those that hadn't, I can say it was tough for them getting around the course. At this point, it was tough for me as well. I mean, I was falling off a lot and really struggling at first to sort of, it hadn't clicked with me yet. It does in the second run I have. And suddenly I start to, I understand the course, I understand the braking a bit more. I start using my front and rear brakes in a different way. I'm more in control of the bike when I'm using the first person view. I don't know if there's going to be a helmet cam. I assume there might be, added at a later date. We'll wait and see. As I say, everything here is still work in progress. It's still in development. Sometimes, you get it, like there, for example, that was just a thing that's going to be corrected in the final game, so ignore that. Gradually getting used to it every time. It just, at first, it was like, really was trying hard to not fall off all the time. And then it just kind of clicks and you feel you flow much more with the bike. But when I went back to the first game, the one thing I noticed when you go back to MXGP, and you'll see this on our video comparing the two, is your bike is kind of like a stiff board, whereas now he's a lot more flexible. But I've noticed also the radical improvement in the throttle response and just the interaction with the environment, and it just made it so much more fun. I was really enjoying the way it worked. Of course, then I wanted to just look at the replays. I love a good replay. Thought I'd have a look here at the replays as well. Really nice replays, actually. Again, still a work in progress. No doubt if they have time, these will be improved and built upon as well. But really nice to see the development here. It just looks so much more authentic. So many particle effects there. Just makes it, again, like I say, looks so much more authentic every time. Really radical improvement from the previous versions. Now again, I mean, where the audio is concerned here, I mean, I'm going to leave you with a bit of gameplay and audio just in a moment, but again, it's still all a work in progress, so you can't really read too much into what you're seeing here, but it gives you a rough idea, and very impressive it looks too, especially some of those shots. Really nice seeing the bikes leaning. It's great to see how it's coming together, but I'll leave you with a bit of gameplay here again. Just chiming in again, I was having a look at the photo mode here, but just seeing the model, sort of the character detail and stuff like that. Really nice to see the various detail that's been added. And I actually took a photograph of the screen just having a muck around, and I put that on Instagram, on the Team VV Instagram. Do check that out, and it just shows the amount of detail there is in this world. And also the components, how thoughtful the detail is that's gone into the bikers and the bikes. Really nice. The improvements of the Unreal 4 engine are massive for Milestone. It's great to see them actually have the tools now to make something that is what they want it to be. They've needed better graphics, so now they've got better graphics. They needed better audio, they've got better audio. They needed more memory for their physics and what they want to do there, and they've got that now. So with the tools that they've got, things are only going to get better. Oh, goodness me, some big crashes from the other AI bikers as well. Just avoiding that guy. Again, that's a nice corner. I like the way the bikes sweep in around there. So again, I'll leave you to a bit more replay. So I just thought I'd have a look now at sort of the various slow-mo sort of details that are in there. I always find games show another layer of detail when you see them running in slow-mo. So I was just investigating the different tools there are for replays. I suppose for some of this, when I look at these, it's for sort of making future videos on games as well. But I thought rather than cut the video and just show you the gameplay, I thought I'd just show you the full sort of session so you get to see as much gameplay as possible. And of course when we've got more footage of other courses, I'll be showing that on the channel as well. But it's really nice to see how the various replays worked and how the slow-mo worked as well. At the moment, I believe this one's still using the triggers to actually do the slow-mo. Which isn't the best way to do it, because you can't have a consistent slow-mo speed that way. But it's still very nice to see some of the details. I kind of wish there was a few more angles that were in slow-mo where it could be a bit more zoomed in on the rider, because it's always seeing the rider sort of miles away in the distance. And I would just like to zoom in occasionally and see the rider. You know, just all that sort of detail on the bike. So, time for another run then, and I thought, you know, what else is on this demo that we're looking at? Let's take a look at the track selection, look at the different riders there, so quite a few of the riders were available, and see if there are any more courses unlocked, but unfortunately not this time. So you can see there's a few placeholders there as well, so that shows you how work in progress it is. And I thought I'd just see the options. Let's just see what other options there are there. As you can see, it's all greyed out, so we weren't able to change anything. So now we're going to look at the rain. So I literally wanted to test everything I could in this demo so that you guys can see what it's all about. And now we're going to look at that same circuit again in wet weather conditions. Which actually makes for a radical difference in the look and the feel of the circuit. It's amazing. Really, really is nice to see the detail here. So, a look over the venue on a rainy day. You know, events like this, it depends. It's always, you know, wet and gets a bit chilly, and I always find it's quite tiresome in the wet. Go ready for the off. There's a nice hue, isn't there, to the lighting, and this is going to be dynamic as well. I'll be really interested to see how dynamic weather affects these races and how many laps you can have in a race and what changes that makes. So the first go, obviously I was all over the place. Now I'm learning a little bit more about the circuit, what corners are coming up, so getting there a bit. Immediately I'm finding the handling is very different this time. So and you can see how even the particle effects have changed. From the mist we now have lumps of mud coming up. You know, just another little detail showing the difference between the dry and the wet. It really is, you know, everything's been thought about in terms of how it looks. Various different ridges that you get in the corners, so I'm improving based on my previous run. Work my way up, but again there I get that understeer on that corner. I didn't know how to get the back end out, as it were, you know, get that wheel spinning and slide my way in there. I just didn't know how to do it, and on some of these corners in these conditions I was finding the bike just wasn't quite getting into the corner the way I would like, and I'm actually trying to use the sort of rider leaning stick to lean a bit more into the corners, and eventually that's the way to do it, I will point out, is to use the second stick, which I wasn't using on the first run. I'm just learning how to use it now, and on part 2 of our gameplay looking at this game you'll see me sort of improving gradually. So I'm pausing it now. I believe I'm going to go and have a look at possibly restarting or considering a restart. Now I'm continuing Oh, I've got that wrong. Oh no. Oh dear. Look. Oh, it's all gone wrong. Off the track. Just trapped in that well, basically. It's really... What I was doing there was I was getting on the power too quickly. Again, you've got to be just really gentle. Get the bike moving. Then give it some welly. Otherwise, you're just sort of swaying from side to side. See the wheels spinning up a lot. Getting too much power there. But, it's amazing how intuitive it becomes as you learn. It's just, this was all very much a steep learning curve of just 2 goes on the game, record what you've got, and I'm going to leave you now with a bit more gameplay and return shortly. So time for a restart. I thought let's just restart again so I can actually ride with the other riders. And I was getting the hang of it there, but it's hard going. You know, you're hearing when I'm going uphill, the wheels are just spinning. So you know, as you would of common sense, you're trying to rev a little less, turn the wheels a bit slower, and get a little bit more traction when you lose your momentum. It's okay when you've got momentum; it all flows much quicker. I'm also trying to learn a little bit more about how to ride on the bike, so that when I'm eventually from the sort of first-person cam, so when I eventually make some videos on it, we'll be able to do more videos from this point of view and in a more professional way. You know, generally speaking, you know, if I got this and I was going to do some videos, yes, I'd sit here for a day and I'd get good at it and, you know, really do loads of laps and learn all the tricks, which is what I do say on MXGP1. But when you're just sort of out the box, it's, you know, you're accelerating too hard into corners, and the bike's going off here, the bike's going off there. Oh goodness me, it was hard work. And then I went away after this, and I played a bit of gravel, and then I came back to this, and suddenly it all clicked with me. Suddenly it was becoming much easier. I knew that the course, I mean, not knowing the course was you know, creating half the challenge. And when I learned the course, suddenly it all started to flow, and I started to enjoy the way the bike was moving more and the way it was controlling in the environment. But it, you know, as I say, this was a tough learning curve, and I don't know how everyone else got on at the event, but I can imagine that some people probably really struggled with this in terms of getting anything out of it. I was enjoying this onboard view. I was imagining what something like this would be like in VR, actually. Can you imagine just seeing the bike there and racing along? I think it'd be really cool in VR. Probably give you motion sickness, but you know, I just think the idea of it, the feeling of speed, would be amazing. I'm trying hard to keep up with the leaders this time. I'm determined to make a difference, so I'm keeping up with them. You can see also from a lighting perspective it's much darker this time, as I lost a bit of control, tried to get it back on the track, but that was it, it was over. So frustrating when you're trying to ride as cleanly as you can. So as I say, I mean, the one thing about this video is that this is all much the learning curve, and then once it clicks, and you'll see, as I say in part 2, a lot more, then it starts to become more about speed, you know, and that's what I always say about driving games. First you just need to get round relatively cleanly, and then you start going faster and faster and faster, and that's what this video has been about. But do let me know if you have any questions for the developers, if there's anything in the game that you're concerned about, anything you'd like to see in the game, because I can ask them lots of questions, and who knows, there might even be time to get some of those features included if they're not in there already. Certainly the developer's going to be working hard to get all the courses done in time. I look forward to seeing some of the other courses, actually, how they work and how they look as well, especially with this new graphics engine, you know, Qatar, places like that. Should be very interesting. But I'm going to leave you to a bit more gameplay now. To battling hard in that race. I was really trying to just keep in there, trying to make it as clean as possible. But we see a bit more there in the wet weather conditions, which was a different challenge to the dry. But still I enjoyed it, enjoyed the way it all worked, and just a quick look at the replay on this as well. So we're coming up close to the end now on this first part of our MXGP look at the gameplay, MXGP3. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of more candid look, really, you know, sort of uncut gameplay rather than sort of all edited. Lots more explanation in our team video as well. Part 2 is going to be, again, you know, I went away, come back, and then I know the course, know the handling, do much better at it and enjoy that. We've also got more videos coming, comparisons, as well as multicam video coming as well. But that's it from me for now. I'll leave you with this last bit of gameplay, and there'll be more from me very soon.